Welcome back, everyone, to the After the Scales podcast, episode 53, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove of Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight, Canadian Racing Tours. On today's episode, we'll have Jayden Clay and Tyler Edwards of Mounce Stout Racing joining us for the Chili Bowl preview. But before we have them join us, we have Brady Houser of Brady Houser Productions joining us. He was at the Tulsa Shootout, got some good interviews with drivers, had a good time. We're going to hear his thoughts from that. Brady, thanks for joining us.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, and what an event it was in Tulsa. I gotta say, it was quite the event to talk, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, and Brady has been begging me for months to have him on our show. So this
whoa. I think it's the other way around.
That's a big week for you. You get to go to the Tulsa Shootout, you get to be on After the Scales, and then you get the Chili Bowl. So Brady, talk about the Tulsa Shootout. You haven't been there before. You were spending like 12 hours inside that building against other people's advice. Talk about the event as a whole.
Man, I tell you what, if any dirt racing fan could go to that event, I 100% recommend it. I mean, where else can you go for $30 a day and watch over 100 races a day? I mean, there was 100 plus races every day minus the final day. And, I mean, you got 1,900 cars, which I will say, when you put 1,900 cars in a building like that, it is impressive to see how they do that and how they fit them all in there. Hats off to that crew at the Tulsa Shootout. They did a great job getting everybody in there and everybody into their proper pit areas and whatnot. But, man, the rate, and just the atmosphere alone, having 1,900 drivers there, having over 100 plus races a week is amazing. But then you got the backstretch rowdies. You got the racing itself, which, I mean, if you watch the races, the 8 names the other night, I think those are some of the best races I think I've ever seen, and a lot of people are agreeing with that. But yeah, what an event. Had a super great time. Can't thank 357s they're enough for letting me come and cover this event. And like you said, I did a ton of interviews. I got like 10,000 photos. I think I still got to edit. I don't know. That'll be at some point. But yeah, man, what an event, and happy to be able to experience it finally.
Yeah, I was following behind the scenes on 357 World of Dirt's social medias. You got some pretty good interviews with a lot of really good drivers, some NASCAR guys with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Talk about those interviews, kind of behind the scenes interaction with them. Were some guys kind of standing out to you that, wow, they really gave me a lot of time to kind of talk to them and give questions?
I would say yes. Most of the drivers were very easy to talk to. For the most part, they're very, because like I've asked them to talk to a lot of the drivers. They're getting ready to wait. Like they're getting all their cars, all their gear, everything ready to sit around and wait all day because 100 races a day, it takes all day, 12-hour days. So a lot of the guys are sitting around, and I will say, out of all, the one that stood out to me the most, and he won the Driller in a classic with Kyle Larson on the final lap, Christopher Bell stood out to me a lot because he was sitting around. Anytime a fan would come up to his car, he'd come over and say hi. When I talked to him, he stood around for like 15 minutes and chatted with me about my hometown and like where my racing roots are from. And I would say, yeah, he stood out. And it's just the interactions the drivers have with the fans at that event is pretty cool because they appreciate us, we appreciate them. But on the other hand, they're just sitting, like I said, most of the time they're just sitting around waiting to get into their race car. So they've got time to kill, and very easy to go up to the driver and ask for an autograph, take a picture, or have a conversation with them. So pretty cool.
Yeah, Brady, was there a moment that kind of stood out for you over anything else?
That last race, I mean,
yeah.
We can't, I know we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but Kyle Larson, let's talk about that for a second. When that freaking line that he ran, he had that car, the broadcaster, Chris Wilner, he said it's like Ross Chastain at Martinsville. I disagree. He had that car basically on its side, riding that wall up on that cushion, and it was just amazing to watch those two duke it out for, even if it only was 2 laps, getting to watch them duke it out, and what a race it was, what a finish it was, that stood out to me. And then I will say, Braxton Bush finally getting a driller after last year only making it 2 corners in the feature before flipping. For him to rebound and have such a dominating week in the junior sprint class. Pretty cool to see that as well. And to see Kyle Busch and Samantha happy in victory lane with their son who's worked really hard to get to that point. Pretty cool. Very cool.
I'll just jump in here real quick, Jacob. The one video that you shared where I was like, oh man, this is really cool. Is just when you walked in for like the first time, you're doing a live and you're just standing by the track and nothing's going on. And I could just see in your face how excited you were. I thought that was really cool. And that was like, I wasn't really excited for Chili Bowl yet. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh man, like I'm going to be there in like a couple of weeks.
They say when you walk or drive down, like when the racers go down that ramp, they're nervous. And like you get goosebumps going down that ramp. Out of all the dirt events I've been to, going down that ramp just for that first glance at the track, that ramp it's intimidating, but it gives you goosebumps and a thrill that it's like, holy cow, this is amazing. And definitely a really, really cool moment.
And for the people that might not know your work, Brady, you get a lot involved with media. Obviously, you got a lot of racing photography stuff, but you're also into stuff outside of racing. I know I've seen a lot of your stuff on your social media pages with basketball and athletics. Just talk about, why you like photography, why you like media, and how you got into it a little bit.
Well, I like photography because you get a creative aspect that you can basically do what you want to. Like, if you see something that catches your eye, that's cool. You have that creative aspect to go and take a picture of it and produce the content for it. But no, I started media back in 2020 when COVID hit. I was in 9th grade in high school, and my mom texted me in school one day and just said, hey, you might want to bring all your stuff home from your locker because I don't think you're going back to school on Monday. And I'm like, what is she talking about? And then pandemic hit, and I was out of school for the rest of the year. Some things opened back up, but I was bored. Obviously, all the racing was canceled. No dirt racing, no NASCAR, no anything to enjoy. No sports and nothing. So I got bored, and I was just like, you know what? I want to talk about racing. I want to be a part of racing. I'm going to start a podcast. And my parents looked at me, and they were like, oh, God, he is going to embarrass the family name. And I was like, oh, I'm starting this podcast whether you like it or not. And sure enough, my first podcast ended up being with NASCAR Cup Series driver Landon Castle. And it got over like 200 views. And I was like, man, I actually could do something with this. And ever since then, it just took off. And I do interviews in the pits and podcasts every now and then. It's a pretty surreal part of racing to be a part of. Like, a lot of people have asked me, why don't you race? Why don't you race? And I mean, I don't have the money to fund racing or be a racer. So to be a part of racing in some way is cool. And being a part of the media side of things is probably the most fun way, in my opinion, to be a part of racing. So yeah, I enjoy the media side, and it's a pretty fun sport to be in.
Yeah, it's definitely opened up a lot of doors and introduced myself to some pretty cool people, present company included. Had a blast since I first met Brady at Utica Rome last year for the high limit race. He was super friendly and welcoming to me, and we bust each other's balls quite a bit, but he's a great dude. Brady, let's talk about the Chili Bowl for a second. What are you most looking forward to? Who you got your eyes on? I know it's going to be a lot of people picking Bell and Larson, but maybe there's some sleeper picks for the Chili Bowl that you got to see running the shootout. What are your thoughts?
Running in the shootout, I don't really know about that, but I got to stick with my hometown boys. We got Alex Jankowski, we got Money Matt Williamson coming and racing for Keith Kunz Motorsports, and it's just cool to know that some of the big name, big block modified drivers are getting this opportunity with the top team in the Chili Bowl to go and race. I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't know if they'll make the A-main. We don't know until they start racing. But I'm really curious to see how they do. But I know T-Mez. I talked to T-Mez earlier this week. I'm going to interview him next week. I talked to him at the shootout. He's just kind of hanging out as a fan. He's hungry, and he wants a driller really, really bad. After last year, when Cannon McIntosh put him into the wall, that really built up a anger in him, and he knows that he has to get this done, and he wants a driller one way or another, if it's a prelim night or a big driller at the end of the week. T-Mez is ready. But also Cannon McIntosh on the other side of things. He's hungry for one as well, because he's coming off that incident, and that got him a lot of publicity in a bad way, in a good way. However you see it is how you see it. But I know he's hungry for a win as well. And so those two guys I'm definitely going to be watching for. But I'm kind of bummed out. Jade Avadishian's not going to be racing this year. Obviously, she got injured, so she's not going to be able to race. She's recovering from an injury. I thought maybe that this would be the year that Jade actually could show up and win this event, because last year she ran really, really good there. But yeah, there's that Keith Kuntz Motorsports stable is going to be tough all week, and they got like 20-something drivers racing for them this week, and when I say drivers, like they got the biggest names in motorsports or dirt racing for them. So that's the team you're definitely going to want to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and make an early prediction that I don't think Logan Seavey is going to go and win again. It's going to be really tough. I can't really pinpoint out of the 371 entries right now who's my pick to win. Maybe once we get to the prelim nights, I'll pick, but I'm just going to say there's probably going to be a different winner. Really good competition. Brady, before we go, and thanks again for joining us, where can people find you on social media to give you a follow, like, and share your content?
Well, I have a lot of stuff on social media, but YouTube, you can head over to youtube.com and look up Out of the Fast Lane. Again, Out of the Fast Lane, not Life in the Fast Lane like the Eagles song. Out of the Fast Lane. That's my YouTube channel. That's where I post all the interviews. But 357 World of Dirt, they post all my interviews as well, so you can check out their page. My photo page is Brady Houser Photos online on Facebook. Just look up Brady Houser Photos. The logo is a BHP. And I'm on TikTok as well, just Brady Houser, Instagram, all that. Just look up my name, and I should come up. But if not, you can always just find me at other places and contact me. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those events, the Chili Bowl. It's so unpredictable because you got 300 cars. You don't know who's going to win. You got the best of the best coming in. You got NASCAR stars. You got IndyCar drivers. The IndyCar driver, Santino Ferrucci's racing, which I found out. Yep. You got the best dirt racers. And then you got underdogs. And then you got guys that are there just to drink beer and race when they can, like Robert Bell. It's just a matter of... It's just you get a whole bunch of different drivers, and it's definitely a cool event, and I'm looking forward to it. But if I had to make a pick on a media standpoint, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to say that T-Mez gets it done.
Yeah, I will never bet against Kyle Larson. It's kind of like betting against Tiger Woods in his prime. I'm just not going to do it. But I'll say one thing. Usually when you have a lot of bad luck in 1 week, it's got to turn around. And I thought Emerson Axum used up all of his bad luck last week. Yeah. And if I'm going to pick a dark horse, that's my guy. Okay,
and I'll add to that. I would say Clinton Boyles maybe can show up. I don't know if he'll get a driller, but I'm hoping to see maybe Clinton Boyles get a top 3. I know he had a little bit of a run-in with Dason Pursley in the feature the other night, but no, Axum and Boyles have been working hard all week at the shootout. And I know they're both ready to go. Yeah, no, there's a lot of drivers, as you know, and like your buddy Danny Sams. And speaking of him, congratulations to him on signing with High Limit Racing. That's really cool. But he's an underdog coming into this event, so I would like to see him make a prelim night, and hopefully that he does a good job as well. But yeah, it should be a fun event.
Right?
He does it.
No.
Oh,
no,
I thought he did.
He doesn't have one.
You made it sound like you did. My bad. Okay. This is what. Hey, you're Jacob, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in my head. Okay, Jacob. This is why you never trust a Canadian. Because what happens in Canada stays in Canada. But
that's not always true. Sometimes
the Canadians are a little bit wild.
All right. So one more question before you go, Brady. Your job this week has been to scope out restaurants for us to go to. You mentioned one earlier to me. Where are we going?
Yeah, you gotta go for breakfast. Tulsa Hills Donuts, baby. It's one of the best donut shops I've ever been to.
We gotta give a local establishment a shout out here. We don't have any sponsors when it comes to restaurants, but we're open to free stuff.
Okay, yeah, we'll give you a shot. We're open to free donuts. So if you guys see this, you could always hook us up with some free donuts. Tulsa Hills Donuts, they're the best. I would give them a good plug. They're right next to the hotel I'm staying at. That's why I'm plugging them, but they're really, really good. So,
and I definitely have the body of a guy who knows a good donut when he sees one. So we'll give those guys some love.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to seeing you and hanging out with you a little bit next week. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Sean and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.
All right, joining us now are the two Mounce Stout Racing midget drivers for the Chili Bowl Nationals, Jayden Clay out of Newcastle, Oklahoma, and Tyler Edwards out of Salina, Oklahoma. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having us on, man. We always like to do stuff like this, so it's a pleasure.
So we're going to start with Jayden here. Obviously, you were racing at the Tulsa Shootout. Crazy long week. Obviously, Tulsa is a huge racing event every year with the micro sprints. You have 6 different classes, over 1,800 entries this year. Crazy amount of cars. Just walk us through how your racing went. Obviously, it might have not went the way you wanted it to, but just it was a crazy event and a lot of good racing especially for us watching on Flow Racing.
For sure. I mean, it was definitely fun, but it was had a lot of disasterness, and I definitely learned a lot, and I couldn't thank my crew guys. I definitely did not have the luck I wanted, and for me going back to the pits and them not giving up and keeping their head up mainly made the best for me as a driver, knowing that they haven't given up on me, and so I still need to show up on the racetrack and do my job because I know they will, and that meant a lot. And me not doing so well in my heat races and putting me super deep in the futures, it was not fun, and I definitely tried to make the best of it for sure.
All right. So, Jayden, I'll ask you first, and then Tyler, you can jump in because you guys are both from Oklahoma. So you've been watching these events grow over the years. For a lot of us, kind of the Tulsa Shootout, we always know about the Chili Bowl, but the Tulsa Shootout's kind of new for a lot of people, or newer. And it's really growing the last few years. What's it been like, or what was the event like just being there, Jayden being a part of it? And then Tyler, obviously, what were your thoughts? I'm assuming you were watching a bit of it or most of it. We'll get your thoughts after.
For sure. I think fan base wise, there was way more people than there usually is. And I definitely feel like there was more cars, and I think the competition was pretty much the same as the usual good guys that were there. But overall, I think that from like when I started watching it or started going to Shootout to now, it has grown tremendously.
Yeah, the shootout for me, I had the pleasure to get to drive for John Kilmer and his family, and we actually did pretty good with what we had. Car didn't run the first couple of nights, and they worked their butts off to get it figured out, and so that was nice. We got some speed at the end, and I just couldn't seal the deal and get in the show. But man, it was a great week to be there and get to see everybody, and that event is definitely one of my favorites of the year, just like Chili Bowl, and it's just an honor to get to race with some of those guys, from the highest levels to, even our grassroots guys around here are some of the best there is. So it's been a great week, and I'm looking forward to Chili Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like Tulsa Shootout is unique because obviously with the Chili Bowl, you have almost 400 race cars, and you have your prelim nights throughout the week. But with Tulsa, you're racing so many nights trying to, if you set yourself back early in the week, you got to run through the soup and try to make the main events. But with so many six different classes, it's really hard to just even make the show. So I'm kind of curious to hear you guys' opinion. Jayden, you can go first about those finishes in the A mains. I mean, it was spectacular battles between Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, obviously the other guys. Larson got 2 drillers. Just talk about that whole sequence of events of those races and all those guys duking out trying to go for a gold driller.
No, for sure. It was definitely crazy. And your draw and everything from when you walk in the building matters, from what you draw to how you do, and you have to do good. And if you don't, it's going to affect the rest of your week. Kind of like I said earlier, as in like I didn't do very good in my heat races, and it affected me the rest of the week. And so you definitely have to make sure that you're on top of your game the whole week, or it's going to affect you come Saturday or Friday.
Yeah, that's it's definitely all about draw there. You're racing against 400 guys at one time or plus, and Chili Bowl, you're going against 80 to 100 on your prelim night, so it's definitely a huge difference there. And I think it makes it one of the hardest shows to make in the world when it comes to that. So, but watching those guys get after it on Saturday was incredible. It's some of the best racing I've ever seen at that deal. The racetrack itself was the best I've seen all week consistently. So I have no complaints over that. That's why I'm really looking forward to Chili Bowl. I think we're gonna have a great racetrack, and it's probably going to be one of the toughest years ever with everybody being there. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Even if you don't have the best week at Tulsa Shootout, is there anything you can take from your week there that translates to the Chili Bowl guys?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think being on the track before Chili Bowl is important, especially there. Like I know there's a lot of the races going on right now that you could go compete at, like the manufacturers throwdown and stuff like that. But I think being on that track right now is the most important thing, and those laps are crucial to just working the inside berm and little things like that, and seeing how they water patterns and what the track does after. It's really an advantage, I think, going into next week.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the more laps I can get on that racetrack, just because we don't race it all the time and we only race it once or twice a year, I definitely think it is very crucial to be able to get as many laps as you can before the Chili Bowl.
Now, looking forward to the prelim nights this week. Jayden, you're running on Wednesday. Tyler, you're running on Friday. Jayden, you got the most entries looking at the entry list for 371 cars. You got the most cars to compete with on Wednesday. Kind of tell us how you're gearing up for that. And along with Tyler, you have the least amount right now to battle against, but both lineups are really stacked with competition. So how are you, mentally and physically preparing for those nights?
Really, I'm just going into it as, obviously, I know I'm a rookie rolling in to that building, so it's definitely different knowing that most of these guys have more laps at that racetrack in a midget there. And so I'm rolling into it of a mindset of, as long, like, my whole goal is to make this show on my prelim night, and I'll be happy. And it's a big challenge for me, but it's definitely not something I don't think I can do. And so I'm just rolling into it as it's just another race at another racetrack.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. You definitely just want to just go with your motions that you've been going through all year, and just it's just another race. But at the end of the day, it's not. Jaden's definitely got the toughest night, it looks like, so far. There's Wednesday and Thursday are so stacked. I'm actually pretty glad I'm on Friday, and it should work out. I'm going in mentally. Hopefully, we can get a top 10 and at least, and like to be in the top 5. But right now, the goal is just at least top 10. And if I can get in the top 10 and start somewhere towards the front, I think we're gonna have a chance to be there on Saturday. We've been great in that building many years in the past. I've drove for some great people, and Jay and Gavin provide a great race car, so we should have a really good shot.
All right, so Jayden, you're a rookie at this event, so I'll ask Tyler, what does your week look like? Like, talk to people who maybe haven't been to the Chili Bowl before, or just watch it on TV. For you, someone who's competing and you're not racing until Friday, walk us through what your week is like.
Well, like once we get practice over with, definitely I'm going to enjoy myself a little bit, have some beers with my friends, and hang out, sell some T-shirts with all the Tub crew. That's definitely where I plan on being, and whatever Jay and Gavin need on the race cars, I'll be right there too. But yeah, pretty much just chilling and watching every race I can, and I won't miss one, and I'll be at the merch booth selling as many t-shirts as we can. And but yeah, my week should be fun up until Thursday, and then it's game time, and we got Riker Pace on that night, so I'll definitely be concentrating on him as much as I can and learning about everything I can with his race car to maybe translate to mine on Friday, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that's about what my week consists of. It's definitely a fun week, and you get to talk to so many people, and that's where a lot of deals get made in the racing industry for the rest of the year. And that's one of my favorite parts about it, just being able to talk to people you don't see all the time, and sometimes meet new people. It's just a great event all around.
And looking at the equipment that you guys are going to get behind the wheel of, Mounce Stout Racing has really good equipment. Guys usually have the Staten SR 11X engines. I kind of I'm kind of curious about, behind the scenes with midgets and how expensive they really are and how much time it takes to get these cars to be perfect, the weight ratio and picking up on the front end. Talk about the engine power plant between Staten and TRD. I'm really curious because TRD engines are probably the most popular and most expensive, but also, really top of the line as long as the, Staten engines are up there too. Is there any difference between the two that you guys might know of, or why you think they're so popular just because of the race results that the drivers have with them?
Yeah, there's definitely a huge difference. One's a push rod motor, and one is the Stanton itself is an S overhead cam motor. So that's definitely a big difference there. There's 1,000 to 1,200 RPM difference in the rule set itself. Chili Bowl, though, you're allowed to turn the motors up a little bit and have different boxes. So that's something in itself. But they definitely drive a little different. I feel like the Toyota might be a little more tame at times. Where the SR11, though, I feel like you can get way more out of it. Especially a guy that likes to drive a car hard. I think that's a motor that's more beneficial. That's why I really enjoy running them. But there's definitely some big differences in where the motor plate is and how the motor's offset. The weight of the motor is a little different. So there's definitely some big differences there, but to each their own. I think they're both great motors, but I'll stick with the Stanton. They've been good to us all year. So
Now, for someone who's never been to the Chili Bowl, I want to ask you guys. I mean, Jayden, even if you haven't done the Chili Bowl, you just did the Tulsa Shootout, and I know you would have been to the Chili Bowl before. What is the secret to avoiding the Chili Bowl flu?
I would say probably take your vitamins and get as much fresh air as you can without missing racing.
Yeah, he's definitely right about that. You definitely want to go and get your vitamin B, vitamin C, whatever you got to take. I definitely take all the allergy pills I can going in, and I stay on it for sure. And Dayquil and Nyquil definitely helps. But yeah, fresh air is key. I think Jaden's exactly right.
I was talking to one driver. I won't name names, but I know that at some point during the week he gets a liquid IV.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah,
That
I don't know how many guys are doing that, or if anyone else has any other secrets. Or
I've seen quite a few people do that.
I wonder if he's getting liquid IV because he's drank too much the night before.
well, and that could be it too.
No, but yeah, I definitely think that stuff works though, and I've never really thought about trying it, but I might have to this year.
And we wanted to take a moment and let everybody know that up in the top corner, you can scan the QR code, and that's going to take you to Tubbs' website. Tops Up Here, Bud merchandise. It's really cool. It's been around for quite some time now. Really cool merchandise. You can always see the top row rowdies and all the kids with the cool goggles on. And I think Kyle Larson called them the top row toddlers now from the Tulsa Shootout. So
yeah, we definitely did.
Tyler, talk about your involvement with Tub. It's a pretty cool brand and how they're involved with racing.
Yeah, so just a bunch of buddies of mine, and we've all kind of been together for years and hanging out and racing together. And we were at Knoxville one year and just kind of, like, hey, let's just start a T-shirt company. And it's kind of how it worked out. I still own a percentage, and all my buddies do too. And we have a great time with it, and we're fortunate that it's lasted this long, and it's kind of become a trend or I guess lingo. I guess it's a lingo term in racing now. If you tub somebody, so all the kids say it, and there's definitely a lot of people I've met that I never would have thought been a fan of us. So it's been pretty fun, to be a part of. I never would have thought it'd led this far, and hopefully we can sell some T-shirts at Chili Bowl and make a little cash because we're definitely short on it right now after shootout. So.
All right, I've got one more for you guys for Chili Bowl, and then maybe we can ask you guys about what's coming up in 2025. But we're all race fans, just even drivers. What are some of the storylines or competitors you're excited to race against, or you're excited to see maybe tackle the Chili Bowl this year?
I would say drivers I'm excited to race against are like Larson, Bell, and people that I don't get to race on a regular basis with.
No, we're pretty fortunate to get to race against a lot of these good guys all year long. Me and Jayden have with Extreme and some of the USAC stuff I've got to do. But it's pretty neat having Kyle Busch there and obviously Larson and Bell, great guys and big for our sport. So it's just neat to see what we're getting right now with everybody coming from NASCAR, IndyCar, and trying to come and run these events and be a part of midget racing. It's pretty neat where midget racing's really got to, and the Chili Bowl itself. So, but definitely looking forward to racing against the best in the world at all their disciplines. So that's what makes this event so special.
Like I think he ran it last year, but Santino Ferrucci coming in from IndyCar, like that's really really cool to see. Like there's NASCAR guys there every year, but it's really cool to see some IndyCar guys give it a shot.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's going to lead to more stuff, especially if Santino does pretty good. I think it'll get a couple other guys on board. It's just neat to be able to run. Like if we get some F1 guys over here, some GT guys, like that'd be so sweet. So one of these days I could see it happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the biggest topics on social media, especially after the Tulsa Shootout, is this big debate about these top guys from NASCAR, IndyCar, getting involved with this micro and midget scene and kind of saying, oh, these guys are kind of beating up on the kids, but in reality, Larson and Bell and all those guys came from this background and they're showing up. And if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So it's
right,
pretty
Claire.
Yeah, you got race against those guys and learn from them, because at the end of the day people are going to see Larson tearing down the wall and be like, hey, maybe I can do that, and maybe it might not work out, but maybe it will. You never know. You've seen Steven Snyder really shot out of the cannon there in the last Tulsa Shootout event. So I think it's pretty cool that a lot of guys go back to their roots and race against you guys.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's really a step down like people think, and I wish some of the people in NASCAR land, they could really see it, because there's some of the greatest drivers in the world right now running micros or midgets or open wheel dirt car, even late models and stuff. I just think dirt racing in general is about some of the hardest stuff you can do, and I wish they didn't look at it that way, but being able to race against them guys and learn from them is crucial for us too. So, and I think they learn things, and I think it keeps them up on their racecraft just to be able to come back and do these things.
All right, so I want to ask you guys post Chili Bowl 2025. What are you guys' plans? Some big events maybe you're hitting up. Jayden, we'll start with you.
I don't really have any plans as what I am doing or what races I want to hit up necessarily. I have a lot of opportunities. I just not 100% sure what I want to do quite yet.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely planning on running as much midget stuff as I can with Jay and Gavin again, and it's looking like we're going to hit quite a few races and hopefully a full year. Who knows? However it works out, it does. Just being able to stay racing with them guys would be great, and definitely plan on doing a lot of non-wing sprint car stuff and hopefully doing some wing 360 stuff. That's definitely the goal right now. Hopefully with Troy and Shannon Norris, and then I got a couple deals hopefully up in Indiana that might work out to some stuff during the summer. So we'll just see how it pans out, but definitely going to race as much as I can, anything open wheel, or honestly, anything I can get in, I will drive right now. So I just plan on racing all year next year.
Well, we hope your 2025 plans both go well for both of you guys. We're really excited to see you guys race at the Chili Bowl. I know Sean's going to be there in person, and unfortunately, I get to sit back on my couch and watch on flow, but still I get to stay warm. But I'm going to.
That's it. Yeah.
Being in person, obviously. But before we let you guys go, we always have our DJD Gear rapid fire segment. We usually ask 10 questions, but since there's two of you guys, we're going to have 5 questions each for you. pretty much the same thing. So we're gonna start with each one of you, and you guys just answer first comes to mind. So we're gonna start with Jayden. Why the number 66?
Really, because the first race car I ever got into was number 66, and I was just like, I'll stick with that number. And then like all of my sports from Little League were 33, and then I always tell everybody that like my baseball number was 6, and then my basketball number was 33, and if you just add them together without like getting a total number from like 3 plus 3 equals 6, and then my baseball number was 6, and it equals 66. So I was like, oh, it sounds cool.
And Tyler, why the number 56?
Well, that was actually Jay's dad, Dave. That was his number back in the day, and we ran it last year at Chili Bowl. Then we ended up kind of running it for the year, and it ended up on the video game. So I was like, man, I might as well stick with it for now. So, and it's a pretty good number. It's one I've never ran until last year. So, yeah, that's why we're running 56.
And Jayden, between the micro sprint and the midget, what do you think is going to be more fun to race?
I would probably say the midget.
And for Tyler, between the midget and the non-wing sprint car, what's more fun to race?
Now that's a very tough question. I'm gonna say midget since it's Chili Bowl time. But yeah, we'll say midget for now.
All right, and this is an Oklahoma question. What do you think, Sooners or the Cowboys? What are you guys rooting for?
Sooners.
Sooners.
Glad you guys agree on that one.
Settles that.
Yeah, all day.
All right, so after maybe in between the Chili Bowl, what's your guys' favorite place to go hang out at, maybe get a grab bite to eat? Just kind of the spot in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Probably any Mexican restaurant.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good Mexican restaurants up here. There's a place called Carrabba's, Italian place I really enjoy. I'm trying to think of some dives though that are really good. And I don't mind going to the bar and playing some pool. A place called Buccaneers right down the road. No racers really show up there. It's kind of private, so just play a little pool and hang out. But yeah, that's there's definitely some good eats in Tulsa though.
All right, and our last question for you guys. It's kind of been our debate here recently. It's the Chili Bowl. They're going to be serving hot chili inside the Tulsa Expo Center. Do you think beans belong inside a chili or not?
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Wow.
So that's our yes. We asked Darren Knight that, and he said no. I said no. Sean said no. So
No.
must be a
I'm actually heating up some chili right now, so it's got beans in it. So
It's the look of the beans. For me, it's not the taste or anything like that. It's just it looks like there's beetles in my food, and I don't like it.
man, I never thought of it that way. I'm gonna have to look for some beetles now on my chili.
And
That's funny.
before we close out, we did have a fan question. One person wanted to know from Jayden how he got the name Big Papa.
I was actually sitting in turn 5 at Port City, and Haas said, what do you want your nickname to be? And I said, I don't know. And he started playing the song Big Papa. Yeah, and he goes, I found a nickname. And I said, what? He said, Big Papa. And I said, okay, let's go with it.
Well, I'm sure if everyone got to choose their own nickname, that would there might be some changes out there. But no, that's cool. Guys, we really appreciate having you on. Looking forward to seeing you both in person next week. Can't believe it's next week already.
Sure.
And I've never been, so this is kind of a bucket list for me. I am really excited now that the week is here for me to leave. So best of luck next week, boys, and I'll be seeing you down there.
Can't wait to see you, man. You got any questions, just come find us.
We'll definitely do.
We'll definitely have a drink or go get something to eat. Can't wait to meet you.
All right, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Problem. Thank you.